Natalie Davis, your host of the Untold Miracles podcast, and I'm so excited for today's special guest. He's an actor, producer, businessman, model, rapper, singer, songwriter, Academy Award nominee, husband, father of four, and philanthropist who is impacting millions of lives through his foundation and through his support of our troops. He's a true legend with a heart of gold, and I am so honored to have him on the podcast today. Mr. Mark Wahlberg, welcome to the podcast.
Well, that was a lovely, lovely introduction.
Before we start, I just want to thank you for your support of Children's Miracle Network hospitals. You visited our hospitals, donated toys and money, and developed some really special relationships with patients and their families, including Sweet Riley and Hudson, patients at Beaumont Children's Hospital. And on this podcast, we talk about miracles, and I want to start by talking about miracles you create in people's lives and why it's so important for you to give back.
Well, anything I can do to share encouragement, support, and just try to encourage people to never give up hope and keep fighting, and know that, they're certainly in my thoughts and my prayers. That's the least that I could do. I come from very humble beginnings, and I have children of my own, and I have friends who have had children who have dealt with different illnesses, and so it's just something near and dear to my heart.
Well, in 2001, you founded the Mark Wahlberg Youth Foundation, and you are helping so many kids, building basketball courts in Boston, bringing youth awareness to the opioid epidemic, and sending thousands of kids to camp. What has been one miracle that you've witnessed from one of the kids who's benefited from your program?
Well, gosh, I've met so many amazing kids who, despite the odds, have had the most positive attitudes and have gone on to do amazing things, graduating college, having a real specific plan and path to success, and much more mature, focused, and determined than I was at their age. So I've seen so many, but I think, with everything that the foundation is focused on right now, especially the opioid crisis, that's the big problem, because so many people are losing their lives to this terrible, terrible epidemic. It's really scary stuff. And you think about kids who are going to a hospital or having some type of medical procedure or something, and then having to take medication. Student athletes, guys who would never be the kind of person you would think who would fall into the label addict because of something that, so simple, like, they're just recovering from a procedure, a surgery, an injury that they occurred. Our military personnel, it's just a terrible, terrible thing. So we are trying to do everything that we can, and, really applaud my brother Jim, who runs my foundation, has dedicated his entire life to making other lives better.
Your brother Jim has a podcast that really helps other people with addiction. I would encourage people to listen to that as well. What was the biggest thing that helped you when you faced your addiction?
I had gotten in trouble, and I think it was a very, very difficult thing, and unfortunately, a lot of people were hurt and affected by what had happened, but it was the only thing that really opened my eyes and really kind of helped me turn my life around and refocus my faith, going back to church and really thinking that, okay, if I wanted to do good, then I had to be good. Mm-hmm. And, when I started doing good things started happening for me.
I love that.
And so I think now, obviously, I feel compelled to do as much as I can for as many as I can.
Mark, I want to talk to you about going from being in the group Marky Mark and the Funky Bunch, which I happen to love. That's definitely my generation of music, to going to being an A-list actor. You've made over 60 movies. You have so many movies coming out this year. You've got McMillions coming out on HBO. Were there any miracles involved with you going from singing to acting?
There were again many miracles. I think the biggest one was meeting the person who believed in me the most, and that was Penny Marshall. God rest her soul. We lost her obviously too soon, but she was somebody that I could just identify with. She seemed like somebody who was from my neighborhood, but I had grown up watching her, and I had always loved movies. That was something that my dad and I did together quite often. We would go to the cinema. I was the youngest, so when I was at home, my dad was home from work, he would take me to the movies, but nobody had ever... it's funny because I was having this conversation with my son last night. Nobody had ever been from my neighborhood that went off to Hollywood to become a success and an actor, so I didn't really think that was even a possibility. And then when I started making music, people were interested in me for various reasons, but I don't think it was because they thought I could be successful. Maybe it was, it would be a bit of a novelty to have me in a part. So I was always kind of resistant towards that, but then when I met Penny, she really changed my perspective on what acting could mean. And when I finally had that experience, I felt like I found my niche, and this was what I was supposed to be doing. And so I really had so much gratitude for her, kind of showing me the way. And I feel like, without her, I certainly wouldn't be here today.
Mark, before we end, I want to ask you a couple quick fire questions. So what are you most proud of? Outside of your 4 kids and wife.
Oh, outside of my family?
Outside of those 4 amazing kids and your beautiful wife.
Yeah, well, in my faith, of course, that being the first thing. My focus. Whatever's required for the role that I'm working on or the film that I'm working on is what I'm doing. So I've gone from losing weight to gaining weight to doing, obviously, other things to prepare mentally, not just physically. But I just, again, went 6 months on the kind of crazy routine for 180 days straight without having a crumb or a bite of pasta or a sip of wine or beer or anything. Very, very disciplined. And I just finished that, so I have a couple of weeks off. But then I start again for another movie that I have to be very disciplined for again. So whatever the job requires, that's what I'm doing at the time. And I want to clarify, I don't take an hour-and-a-half shower.
Okay.
That schedule can be misinterpreted in many ways. So.
Okay, your most inspiring person you've ever met?
The most inspiring person I've ever met?
Mm-hmm.
Any man or woman who walks into a recruiting office and signs up to go and defend our great country, or any public servant, first responder, teacher, nurse, mom. It's so amazing because I had always looked up to the guy who I thought was cool. But when I realized later on that he wasn't cool, and I was surrounded by so many cool people who wanted to help me, and I didn't know what to look for, or my focus was not on the right things at the time.
What is the best sporting event you've ever been to?
First Super Bowl that I took my sons to, with the Patriots, won the Super Bowl. That was pretty awesome.
Most spontaneous thing you've ever done in your life?
Oh my gosh, I'm a pretty spontaneous person. Not now, but certainly back in the days. I just go somewhere on a whim, do something crazy. Thankfully now I think a little bit more before I act.
Biggest role model in your life?
I would probably say Father Jim Flavin.
Okay, and why?
Because when nobody else was there, he was there. He was always there. Him and my mom. I got to give my mom a lot of credit too. And my dad was my hero. He had to work 2 jobs just to put food on the table. No matter what, he was always going to provide for us.
What's the biggest miracle that's ever happened in your life?
The miracles that are just being able to turn my life around. And be in a position to give back and recognize that God didn't put me in this position to forget about where I came from. He put me in this position to improve others' lives, growing up in similar situations.
What is your favorite item on the menu at Wahlburgers?
It depends. Everybody thinks it's the turkey burger because that's my burger, but it's not. I actually, either the Fiesta burger or the Donnie burger has been my go-to. But I usually order like 5 or 6 things, and then I'll kind of like have a piece or half of each one of those things. So I'll get the Our Burger, the Fiesta burger, the Donnie burger, the turkey burger, the haddock burger. But I also like that we have healthy fare as well, and a nice selection for everybody.
What is your life motto that you like to live by?
Faith, family, and being disciplined. I really do have a huge appreciation for the opportunities that have been given to me, and I don't take those things for granted. I work harder than I've ever worked, and I want to be an example to my children and to others growing up in situations like me. So I think being disciplined and starting by getting down on my hands and my knees and expressing the gratitude and asking for the guidance to make good choices and do the right thing and use the talents and gifts that God has given me to help others.
Before I ask my last question, I would like to know what your definition of a miracle is.
That's actually a tough question. You could probably answer that question better than me.
I like to say it's when God bends the rules in your favor.
Well, I tell you what, that has happened to me many times, and there are certain moments where I'll be reflecting, or I was in church and I was thinking about something stupid that I did when I was younger, and how lucky I was to be able to have survived that, and got given a second chance. I've been given a second chance in life, and I hope that people can all find in their heart to forgive forgive and love and come together. And in a time where there's so much divide, with politics and everything else, I mean, there are still young men and women who go and sign up to defend our country, and they don't ask, who's kind of calling the shots and whose policies we're following. They kind of go and they say we're willing to go and fight for our freedoms and for our country, and that's pretty amazing.
The last question that I asked all of our guests, if there were 3 miracles that you could create in the world today, what would that look like for you?
Oh, God, well, you would have to end poverty. You would have to take away all the disease in the world. There's so many people suffering, with cancer and various diseases, and children, and you go to Beaumont, places like that. It just breaks my heart. But then it inspires me to see the courage and the strength that they have, and then also the people that are there that have dedicated their lives to just coming together and really supporting them and caring for them. And then, of course, just ending hatred. There's so much hatred in the world, and, having people come together no matter what your faith or, your religion or what country you come from, that we could come together. So peace and health and prosperity for everybody.
I love it. And I just want to encourage all of our listeners to follow you on Instagram. There's so many things you're doing. You have so many companies, Aqua Hydrate, you've got F45, you've got your Chevy dealerships, you've got your nutrition company, Performance Inspired. There's just a lot of ways that they can follow you and be inspired by what you're doing. And also this year, Spencer Confidential on Netflix, this March, Infinite this summer, and Good Joe Bell. So you're everywhere, Mark. Good luck to you in everything that you're doing. If we at Children's Miracle Network Hospitals can ever help you, we have 170 children's hospitals across North America. We're here for you.
Thank you so much. When I think of the people that I've met, whether it be Liam or Hudson and Riley and their families, and I just, I think about them every day, and I pray for them every day.
And I know that's legit. I talked to the hospital the other day, and you go in and you spend so much time with these kids, and you get on the floor and you're down on their level, and they feel like you're your friend because you are their friend. And for that, we are so grateful for the miracles you're creating in this world, but especially for the 10 million kids treated at our children's hospitals. So thank you so much, Mark. I know I went over time. I'm sorry, but I hope you have a great day.
It's okay. I was having a lovely chat with you. It's funny because, I try to manage all of my time, right? But I've come to meet and encounter so many amazing people and heard so many stories, both positive and heartbreaking, and I try to make sure that I keep all of those people and those things and experiences in my thoughts and my prayers every day. And now my prayer time always running a lot longer, but
I love it. But you're the best. And I was like when I was researching you, I'm like, I am so blown away by you. Like, you are just such a great human. So thank you, Mark.
Well, God bless you. Thank you so much.
Hi, my name is McKenna. Listen to the Untold Miracles podcast where amazing celebrities talk about miracles. Check it out at untoldmiracles.org.
February 25th is National Pancake Day at IHOP. Get a short stack of pancakes at participating locations and leave a donation to help change kids' health in your community.